Welcome to Secrets of the Wandering Wolf. I'm your host, Tom, the Wandering Wolf, and today is episode 3 of Wisdom Wednesdays. And before I begin, I'd like to say thank you for joining, showing up, tuning in, and listening from wherever you are, whenever you are. In the last episode, I hinted towards today's topic, which is listening more than you speak. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how that plays a part in achieving perfection in what you do. I'm going to read a stanza from the Havamal, which is Odin's Book of Wisdom, and talk about another aspect of why it's important to listen more than you speak. So when it comes to perfection and perfecting your craft, it's important to listen more than you speak. In the case of having a master or a teacher or a master teacher guiding you to the next step. At higher levels, these types of teachers and masters will expect you to grasp the concept fairly quickly, which means you may only get one shot to learn and absorb what they're saying. So keeping that in mind, if you're a student of a master now or you're looking for one, remember that it's important to ask the right questions. It's important to listen more than you speak. It's important to listen more than you engage in anything else. They will teach you nuggets of wisdom and knowledge that you may not find in a book, in a video, in a podcast. So be patient when you're learning and you're perfecting your craft, and be present. Being present will automatically force you to listen, to observe, and to absorb more than you are speaking and trying to make it seem like you know what you're doing. And part of that goes into what I want to read now, which is understanding that if you don't know something, it's best not to say something. Allow yourself the space and room to see where you're at. Do I actually know where I'm at? Do I belong here? Is this the space for me? And if you find yourself in a space that you can't get out of, well, I'm going to read what Odin has to say about that. In the Havamal, Odin's Book of Wisdom, stanza 27 says, "It's best for a fool to keep his mouth shut among other people. No one will know he knows nothing if he says nothing. An ignorant man doesn't know how little he knows, no matter how much he talks." I see this stanza as a caution and a warning. And it's a caution and a warning to the person who feels they have to speak on everything. If you don't know something, or you don't know what's going on, it's best to take a step back and to observe. You have 2 ears and 2 eyes for a reason. And when the time is right, use the one mouth you have to speak only when it's necessary. Now, this isn't for every occasion, and most times we avoid conversations we don't want to have anyways. So if it's something you don't know about, you're more than likely not going to be in the situation where you're going to have to talk about it. But if you are, it's better to hold your tongue and to listen and to observe. And watch your environment. Understanding your environment reveals so much about what you can and can't say and who you should and shouldn't talk to. So if you're too busy trying to be the center of attention, the entertainment, the clown, trying to make everybody happy, you don't know who's watching you. You don't know who's taking notes, mental notes, observing, putting little things in their pockets for the next time they run into you or a group of people who bring you up, and they may not have something nice to say, and it could affect your reputation. And reading anything that has to do with Odin or Vikings or Norse or even ancient cultures, reputation and status mattered so much to them. They were always mindful about what they did, most of them. When you come from a very aggressive culture, you may not care as much as what other people say because you might be frightening. However, in today's day and age, it is important to know what you're saying and who you're saying it to, especially online. That travels so fast, and before you know it, you can't stop it. And so, as I've said, listening more than you speak is very important. Observing and paying attention to what you do is just as important. You don't know who's going to take what you do or say out of context and run with it. You have to be very mindful of everything you say and do. And it's tiring at first. But when you become a present person, when you are very present in the moment and you practice this often enough, eventually it doesn't require that much energy. You gain the intuition and the knowing of, I'm walking into this event. I know very little. I know it's probably best for me to make small conversations here or there. Don't stick out too much, but also don't disappear. Make friends, have conversations. Don't boast, don't brag. Don't try to seem more important than you are. Just gradually grow in the communities and situations you're in. I want you for just a moment to take a deep breath. As you settle into your body, I want you to remember everything we talked about. What would you do if you had the chance to have a conversation again with someone that you felt you had spoken and said way too much? You said way more than you needed to, and you know on some level, you probably look like a fool. How would you engage in that conversation again? Imagine you're in a room full of people that you were having a conversation with, and you decided you had to be the authority. You had to speak more on the subject than anyone else because you knew everything. Now you have a second chance to go back. How would you handle that again? Would you take a step back and let others speak first? Observe what everyone's saying and doing and how they're going about it? Would you give yourself the chance and the space to hear everything that's being said so you know whether or not that's the conversation you actually want to be in? What would you do with that? I leave this visualization for you to go back to reimagine these moments so that you can learn to articulate and better understand how to approach the next time you're faced with a situation like this. And with that, I'd like to say thank you for joining me, listening, and tuning in. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday and have a wonderful holiday as it's coming up. I'm very grateful and appreciative of all of you that listen and tune in. Until next time, thank you for another episode of Wisdom Wednesdays, and thank you for listening to Secrets of the Wandering Wolf.